What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome to the WARFRAME video. So I'm feeling pretty sick right now, but I did want to make sure I got a video out for you today, talking about something that I noticed recently, that actually has been a change to Lavos that was like from a month ago. It honestly is probably not a great change once we look at how the functionality of his second ability, Vial Rush, goes nowadays after they made a change to it. He did get some minor buffs as well, so we'll go over those as well. So before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to this channel if you want to make sure you're checking out all these YouTube videos when they go up. Alright, so Lavos, we made a video on him about 4 months ago when Lavos came out from the Orphix Venom event, and now he is currently obtainable from Father on the Necrolisk, and he's actually pretty easy to get. So here are his 4 abilities, and we'll go over what has changed. So just a brief rundown of what these do. First ability is a Toxin Whip thing. It looks like Korra's Whip Claw, but it does nowhere near as much damage as Korra's Whip Claw. This it's going to heal you depending on how much damage you deal with it, and it's pretty like integral to his play style if you're playing like medium level content. The problem with Lavos is he does not have an energy bar. All his abilities are dependent on cooldowns, so you can't use like Augur mods, like Augur Secrets. You're not going to get the shield bonus buff there. If you use something like Brief Respite, it's not going to give you shield when you cast an ability. So he can't really abuse shield getting, which is the current tank meta of the game. But for normal content, he's gonna be fine with his heal and his you run adaptation and stuff like that. He's also got a passive where you can hold down the ability buttons to imbue elementals on your abilities. So for example, you could make this do corrosive and toxin when you hit someone with it. And so what they did to change this ability with that hotfix we're talking about is they actually made the range higher at base. So it used to be 8 meters at base to 10 meters. So that means you're just gonna it scales better with range. You went from 8 meters to 10 meters, and then once you put range mods on it after that, it will make the range even larger. So with this build right here that is not really focused on range, it's going to be 19 meters. With the build that has a much higher range, which this one has 265 range, it's a 26.5 meter range on the little snake slap. So let's just go ahead and summon some heavy gunners in. I'm going to turn the sound on because we are professional, very professional on this channel. Now you can hear the snake slap. So let's just take a quick look at, with almost max range, how high it's going to be looking. So let's look at the edges there. It did not hit all the way over there, but it hit, pretty far back. That kind of looked like a cone to me, honestly. Let's try it from this angle and see if it is actually a cone. Okay, so see from there, that hit everybody. That was gigantic. So it seems like, because they also made another small change to it as well. As you can see right here, increase Ophidian Bite's downward vertical range. So that means there's now more distance between Lavos and the target underneath him that will, when the cast is affected and stuff like that. So that was actually hilariously huge. You saw right there, like we cast it down here. That hit a good amount, but I feel like this range was much larger. So that's with a pretty high range build. Now the problem with this ability is like it does not do like that much damage at all. So I really think they should make it where Condition Overload is applied to his first ability, as he has that on his 4th ability as well. So that would be a nice little change for Lavos, since it's an entire ability that is basically just useless at high levels. It does like a minor stun, some healing, but you can't really even play Lavos at high levels anyway. So let's go over the big change that I think is honestly, it's potentially a downside in a lot of situations. So it's going to be Vial Rush. Now keep in mind, I personally always use the helmet system to subsume this ability off and not use it anymore. What this one will do is you are going to basically rush forward, and you'll drop these like vials on the ground that can use the elements of whatever you've got built in, and it also does cold procs. So what this used to do, and the way people used to use this, is you would just double tap it, and it would just drop a bunch of vials at your feet, and it would make it like a decent condition overload zone for you to just get your vials. So I'm going to put corrosive damage in my passive. So now my second ability will use corrosive and cold. But here's the thing they did. Now you are actually forced to wait an entire, I believe, a half second to deactivate this. You can no longer do the old thing where it was like just double tap it real quick, drop a bunch of vials at your feet and cause corrosive procs. Now you are basically forced to, you can cheese it a little bit by jumping, but yeah, you can at least steer it now, so that's nice. So I'm going to try to double tap it. That's me mashing it as fast as possible. That's how long it took me to go and deactivate it. I had to go all the way over there. So my strategic use of this is actually diminished by the fact that I cannot quickly double tap it anymore. Now, one way you can get around this is you can actually jump. If you jump, it will deactivate early. But as you saw right there, since we're moving forward with such high velocity, it's actually going to make it where we're moving forward. So I guess you could technically double jump, or maybe like use Viral Rush, then backflip. Maybe that would work. But like it's much more annoying compared to before. The fact you can steer it, I guess some people might like that. It's like a good mobility tool. But as far as a strictly conditioned overload procer, that I personally feel like got a little bit of a nerf. Keep in mind, that is also Lavos' subsumable ability. So other frames that would be getting that as well can no longer deactivate it immediately if they want to. So that was basically happened to the second ability. Overall, they give it steering and made it so you can't deactivate it immediately, which is kind of annoying. Now, here's a big buff that Lavos got, and actually, I think is a pretty good change to Lavos overall, although Lavos still does have some problems. A lot of people do recommend buffs and stuff in the future. It's going to be for Transmutation Probe, Lavos' third ability. So what this one will do is you throw out a little, like, probe, I guess it's called, and it's going to cause electrical procs, or whatever you've put into your passive. So it can do corrosive and electric, it can do viral and electric, etc., etc. It will convert ammo and health pickups and energy pickups on the ground into universal health orbs, and the ammo will become universal ammo. This will also deal some minor damage, and every enemy hit by this ability will reduce the cooldowns of your other abilities. So like I said, we have an 8-second cooldown on our first ability, the Toxin Slap, a 5-second cooldown on the Vial Rush, and the ultimate ability, Catalyze, has a 30-second cooldown. So they buffed this. It was a pretty big buff, actually, since it did 1 second flat before. And this also scales with efficiency. So the more efficiency on your build, the more you get back per enemy hit. So with 170% efficiency, it's 2.55 seconds per enemy hit. So if you use something like the Proboscis Cernos, it's going to make the enemies really group together and easy to hit together. Although I usually do subsume off the second ability for Ensnare, just for groupings. I find grouping on Lavos very good. So let's just group them all together. Now we're going to like use our 4, not try to kill anything with it. One toss of our 3 should give us our entire 4 back, honestly. Easy. Like, I mean, there's quite a few enemies here, to be fair, but that is a pretty sizable buff. But here comes the real problem with Lavos. And as you can see right there, the cooldown on our 3 becomes 10 seconds. There is no way in the entire game to reduce the cooldown on your 3. That is actually one of the most annoying things about Lavos, is that the way you can use abilities faster is actually, you can't reduce that cooldown at all. So, yeah, you can still spam abilities. Don't get me wrong, you can still spam abilities with Lavos pretty reliably. Like, use that, like use your 4, get some enemies all grouped up, then use your 3, start spamming again. Like, he is a spammable character, but this third ability right here does bottleneck you quite a bit. But the fact that they made the efficiency, like, its base efficiency is much better. I've actually gone with a higher strength, negative efficiency build at this point. So now it's going to be 0.9 cooldown reduction per enemy hit, and I have like a lot more range and strength compared to before if I was to run like an efficiency mod. So yeah, that helps with Ensnare. As I said, I've like 3 times I use Ensnare on Lavos to just make it so it's very easy to hit enemies with the 3 and the 4, and I guess the 1 if you're going to be using the 1 for some reason. And I believe there's like 1 or 2 more changes. We'll go over those really quickly too. So his 4th ability, Catalyze, now the drones of death actually travel much faster, and now they'll reach their maximum range even faster. So that's good because the cooldown doesn't start on this ability until the drones reach their max radius. So that's technically a buff to his spamming of his 4, and the 4 is actually going to make it has built-in condition overload. So if you're using a weapon like the Proboscis Cernos, his signature weapon, the Cedo, is actually amazing with Lavos, as it procs so many status procs. With a build like this, with a multi-shot Riven, it's going to be 215% status chance per hit on the glaive, and it's got multi-shot and stuff too, so 3.6 multi-shot. You will see a lot of procs with this, and since every proc is increasing the damage of your 4th ability, you can see millions and millions of damage, honestly. So let's just quickly show that here. Rope them together. Hit them with the Cedo. Not even going to build good elements on here, and like they're just done for. I mean, that was like, what, 98,000 heat proc? And like that guy probably didn't even take the brunt of all the status procs. So that's where the buff to the 3 is going to come into play. Like, look how much faster we can get all our stuff back. Like, it was almost the entire ult from one cast there with a negative efficiency build. So a pretty decent buff there, if you ask me. Then we'll use the right elements here, and they're super dead. Like, that was very high damage numbers. And keep in mind that the fourth ability is going to always deal some heat damage. When you imbue it with other elements, like, so for example, let's say we use Toxin. It will do Heat and Toxin for this combination currently. And yeah, so the thing about Lavos, and I feel like he honestly could use some more buffs. These were mostly usability changes, and the fact that he got more range and cooldown reduction is good, but I really do feel like he is very clunky. Not being able to use your shield gating is actually a huge deal at very high levels, and makes a lot of endurance runs with Lavos not even possible at all, to be honest. But that's actually, personally, I feel like that's a bigger problem with the game at large. Like, they need to make the armor stat more valuable in this game. They need to make it where health and armor mixed together are more valuable in this game. And honestly, potentially look at shield gating. Maybe make it where it is not as out of control as it currently is, because it is definitely ridiculous right now. I feel like the fact that armor and health are not very viable stats when you have these options of shield gating and all that, it's not a good look, personally, as we have lots of armor and shield, or armor and health mods. And not even mention, actually, shield increasing mods are actually really bad too. So things like redirection, the reason you don't want to run stuff like this, because it's going to make it where your shield getting is harder to get back. As when you have a higher shield capacity, getting your full shield back for the shield gate is a lot harder. That could be an entire video altogether. But yeah, I do hope that they do some balance changes this year. I don't know if there's any of those planned. But yeah, that's the changes to the Lavos, guys, and a quick little update on what I'm using on him. Just higher range, basically. You could go with, if you don't want to run Blind Rage on the Ensnare build and go with the neutral efficiency, it's honestly going to be pretty good. It already is pretty good, but this will take a big hit to your power strength, as Blind Rage is 72%. So he doesn't need that much strength, to be honest, but it does help you out with a good amount of healing from the 1, more damage on the 4, and strength doesn't really matter too much on the 3. So it's mostly going to be the 4 and the 1 you get strength, good stuff from strength on. But you know, that's going to be up to you guys. Like, you can maybe run that right there, get your efficiency at neutral, get 1.5 seconds per hit. Duration doesn't really matter too much, but you don't want to go negative duration on Lavos, as he also has a passive where if you are running negative duration or positive duration, the what's it called? The status duration actually gets affected. So if you have negative efficiency on Lavos, or negative duration on Lavos, these slash procs are going to tick like once, if that. So you don't want to go super high in duration, but you also don't want to go in negative duration. So sitting around like 100% duration is probably the way to go on Lavos, guys. I'll talk to you next time. I made it through the video being super sick, so I'm proud of myself. Hopefully you guys have a nice night, and take it easy. Peace.